Hello, my name's Cameron Ascaris-Adigan and you're watching another television review on Cam's Camera Talk. Today the show is The Flash, Season 2, Episode 1. Spoilers ahead. So this episode starts out and it's all very happy. I mean, it's a lot like last season. So the Flash is taking out the rogues, then he goes back to Star Labs and Caitlin and Cisco, they say congratulations to him. Joe's there, he says congratulations as well, Iris. And then Eddie appears and he says well done. And Harrison Wells appears and he says well done. He's like, okay, something's going on now. I was wondering whether it's going to be part of the parallel universes, but no, it turns out that it was a dream sequence, and things in real life aren't exactly like that for Barry Allen anymore. He's broken up the team, so he's just doing things alone now. Cisco is now working with Joe and the police, and Caitlin is now part of Mercury Labs. And straight out the gate, this season felt a lot different to last season. It was a lot darker, it was a lot sort of more serious than what we usually get. Even from the intro, you know, the whole "my name is Barry Allen" thing, that was very depressing in the way it was told. I mean, it was like Barry just given up on his hopes. It's like, he said, you know, he can't get his dad out of prison now. You know, his friends are dying around him. You know, he's maybe not the hero that he thinks he is. It was certainly a different tone, not necessarily bad. As soon as Cisco comes in, of course, he provides the comic relief as he usually does. But it was notably different than it usually is. Anyway, we keep getting references to the Singularity event before we're finally showed it in a flashback. And basically what happens is, right at the end of Season 1, we see Flash head straight up into the wormhole and he runs around it to try and close it, but he doesn't have much success doing this. He sort of stabilises it, and then Firestorm flies up there. So Martin Stein says the only way to stabilise this wormhole is if they go up there and sort of sacrifice themselves, because science. So Firestorm flies up there, Ronnie Raymond sort of pulls off his thing, and then he sort of explodes and the wormhole closes, and Flash catches Martin Stein and Ronnie Raymond's gone. The thing felt a little bit rushed to me. It felt a little bit forced. Yeah, so if you've not seen Robbie Amell's acting career, he's taken off quite a lot. He was in the recent film The Duff, and I think he's got a few more films coming out. So he will have wanted a way to exit the show, but he wouldn't have wanted to leave them in a bad way. Also, his cousin is Stephen Amell, who is the Arrow, so he would have wanted to do it for him as well. But also, I'm sure he would have wanted to help the show out as much as he could. So he was in this episode, but his forced killing off basically was a way to get him out. But that's not the end of Firestorm, because Jason Rush, who was in Season 1 briefly, he also takes up the mantle of Firestorm as well. Him and Martin Stein, and we know Firestorm is going to be in the Legends Tomorrow season, which is starting next year, I believe. So the big villain in this episode was the Atom Smasher, and in terms of villains, I didn't think it was that great. I mean, he just kind of chokes some guy out. We don't see it happen, but at the start it's alluded to that he chokes some guy out, and then he shows up at the Flash Day, so starts to throw down with the Flash, and it all feels a little bit pointless. And then he takes off his mask, and I was like, hang on a second, is that Edge? Yeah, so Atom Smasher is played by Adam Copeland. If you're a wrestling fan, he's better known as Edge. And as a villain, I didn't think it was too great, but this episode wasn't about Atom Smasher, it was about setting up Season 2 of The Flash. So, of course, him feeling rushed, the character feeling rushed, it wasn't anyone's fault, really. He did a job of just being there to sort of cause problems for the Flash, but he wasn't a sort of memorable villain. He's not going to come back anyway, because he does die at the end of the episode. But he, of course, mentions a name for who I assume is going to be the bad guy in Season 2. And that is Zoom. Now, if you don't know who Professor Zoom is, I'll put a picture up here on screen. I don't know what you're thinking. That just looks like the Reverse Flash. But it's not. It's a different person in the same yellow suit. So, Professor Zoom is actually called Hunter Zolomon. And unlike Eobard Thawne, who absolutely despises Barry Allen and hates everything about him, Hunter Zolomon actually doesn't dislike Barry Allen. He just wants him to be become better. That's why he antagonises him. That's why he's his villain, because he wants the Flash to be the best man he could possibly be. But Zoom's a fun character. I'm sure he's going to become a great villain in the Flash. Harrison Wells leaves a little memory stick for Barry Allen in case anything went wrong for him, and basically on that he admits that he was the person who killed Nora Allen. How he would have done that without explaining how, you know, he was the Reverse Flash, and you know how he would have put himself at the crime scene, or how he would have pulled it off, I don't know, but it cuts past that. It's not really important anyway. But basically that leads to the release of Henry Allen, Barry Allen's father. So this changes the dynamics of things, because in season 1 Barry Allen, what he was doing was fair enough, yeah, he was putting bad guys away, but the ultimate goal of what he was intending to use his powers for was to get his dad released from prison. Now that's happened, so the Flash is simply there now as a superhero. His aim is to be a superhero, not to get his dad out of prison. Henry Allen does leave at the end of the episode though, so he's not going to be a show regular, but I imagine he's probably going to have a few appearances throughout the season. Victor Garber as Martin Stein has sort of taken up that Harrison Wells role though. I mean, he's a scientist of the group, he's the older one, you know, the smart one, sort of the father figure. And I do like him. I think he's a funny guy. I like him as a character, so I think that's a good addition to this sort of Flash team. Right at the end of the episode we see that costume change. Instead of the red circle that Barry Allen's Flash has on his sort of chest, it's now white. That's indicative of the comic book character, as you can see here. Got that there, white emblem. Yeah, so that's just a shout out to the comics. I think it's trying to make it a little bit more like the comics. That's just sort of the Flash that we know. In the later seasons you do have liberties to sort of drop this sort of science aspect and feature more on the superhero aspects, and that's what these shows are doing, Arrow and Flash. From what I've seen of Arrow, he has a costume change, so that it's really not beneficial for fighting crime, but it looks cooler and it's a lot like the ones in the comics. So these ones are just changes to sort of fit the comics a little bit more, and you know, they drop in this sort of aspect of reality just a little bit. The big thing at the end though is that we finally get the introduction of Jay Garrick. Now if you don't know him, he's the original Flash. He's the first one in terms of where he is on the timeline, and also in creation. He was the first Flash created. He wasn't the one who introduced the Speed Force. That is Barry Allen, and that's sort of where the character went from there. That's why Barry Allen is the most prolific Flash. I don't know how they're going to explain Jay Garrick being there. I think what this is going to do is it's going to have sort of these characters coming from a parallel universe. So Jay Garrick, the Atom Smasher, who makes a little reference saying he was going to take me home even though the Atom Smasher's character was dead. And also Zoom. I think they're all going to be coming from a parallel universe, and Zoom is going to sort of be trying to infiltrate Earth. So I think that's what the direction that they're going to take season 2 in. It's going to be good. As a starting episode, I felt this was relatively slow, but I think it was necessary. You had to show that there were repercussions from the Singularity event, but I didn't like the sort of new tone. I didn't like that everyone was sort of scattered all over the place. But come the end of the episodes, that all rectifies itself. It seems like we're sort of back to where we were in season 1, which I was happy about, because I didn't think they need to change anything about season 1. I thought it was really good. I think it's a fantastic show, and hopefully season 2 picks up where season 1 left off and is also another fantastic season. Anyway, if you have liked what I've brought for you today, feel free to like, comment and subscribe. Also follow me on Twitter at Cam's Camera Talk. There's a link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. So yeah, that gets erected in Central City, shit goes bad, and that gives everyone their superpower.